Hello. 10 minutes or less storytelling about my disability experience. Well, that can't be too hard, can it? I mean, I'm a writer and they say write about what you know, so here we go. What was it Socrates said? Something about clever people knowing that they know nothing. Or there's that Donald Rumsfeld with yeah, things we know, and things we don't know, but then there's things that we don't know. Don't know where that gets us, but anyway, 5-1, one of you Googles in by the end of the night. So, anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. Hello, my name's David Ellenjune, except it's not. Ellenjune's just my stage name. Comes from a village in the Anglo-Saxon times. From this, it's in the Doomsday Book and everything. No, my actual surname's double-barreled. Wow, except it's not. It's single-barreled, if there is such a thing. No, we got it double-barreled when me and Mrs. Me got married. You see, Mrs. Me was a journalist and didn't want my name, and there was already a journalist with my name, or her name with my surname, if you're following this. Anyway, I figured that we were getting married and therefore we should have the same name. So we double-barreled, and that seemed like a good idea at the time, except it wasn't. Probably should have come up with a brand new name, like, Ellen June. Yeah, that would have been a good one. Except we didn't. Anyway. Now that the introductions are out of the way, we can get on to my disability is what's known in the trade as an invisible disability. Because looking at me or listening to me, you wouldn't even know that I have a disability. I've learned to cover the symptoms pretty well, I'd say, which can be a blessing and a curse. I mean, sometimes you feel a bit of a fraud, like you haven't got a real disability. It's like you got a pseudo wannabe disability or something like that. I mean, only the other week, a pretty good friend of mine said to me, aren't you going to get in trouble with this, pretending that you've got a disability? Well, what is it? It's like your run-of-the-mill osteoarthritis, like your grandma gets, that's got your bad knees, your bad ankles, wrists, etc., etc., etc. Except that instead of through gradual wear and tear, it's an immune deficiency issue. I mean, basically, your body, for whatever reason, and believe me, the jury's out on that one, the body decides that it doesn't like itself, and it goes on this mad rampage of attacking itself and then eventually self-annihilation. Anyway, I'm your classic male syndrome. Not that many men get RA, which is what we shorten it to if you're cool. No, it's mainly a female affliction. But my dad has it, and we reckon his dad had it as well. Not that they could, diagnose it in those days. So my guess is that it must be genetic, or at least there's an increased disposition for it. Okay, in hindsight, I started showing signs of RA about 5 years ago, early 2012. Like I say, I was the classic male case, pretty athletic for my age, playing 3 games of soccer a week, going to the gym so I can continue to play soccer 3 times a week. The only symptoms were a couple of muscle aches, shoulders, knees, all the rest of it you can put down to playing soccer 3 times a week and getting older. But then, come the autumn of 2012, it was like boom, fell off the edge of a cliff. I lost 30 pounds of muscle in the space of a couple of months, and I felt like I'd aged 40 years. And if it had carried on the way it was going, well, yeah, I'd been pretty much dead by the end of the following summer. Okay, looking back, I'd say it probably took, what, 2, 3 years to get back on something approaching an even keel. Well, I'm sure you know all the drill. They give you the cheapest drugs first, and when they don't work, they then move up the cost spreadsheet until hopefully something does. And it did. Or at least I think it did. I mean, it's so hard to tell at the moment whether I'm in remission, I'm cured, or it's just waiting around the corner to pounce. Who knows? I mean, because I get asked a lot of things. I'm sure you all do as well. And my standard flip reply is that I'm the shadow of a man that I used to be. But compared to what I became in those first sort of 6 months to a year, well, I'm Superman. And if God or whatever had offered me the deal to take what I've got now, then I'd have bitten his hand off, quite frankly. But not that any of us know when you're on these drugs what the long-term effects are going to be. In my case, the obvious two is fatigue and cancer. But one day at a time, eh? Well, that's an odd one. Being the man in the marriage, even though it's rubbish, you still you still expect of yourself to be the strong one, the breadwinner and all that sort of thing. But you're not. So you go through the usual cliched 5 stages of grief, which are denial. This is not happening. Anger. Why the hell is this happening to me? Bargaining. Okay. God. Whatever. How do we make this right? Depression. It's not going to be right, is it? It's only going to get worse. And then finally, some sort of acceptance. How do we make the best of this? There's an old novel by H.G. Wells called The Invisible Man. Now, the protagonist in that is a guy called Griffiths, who quite frankly is a bit of a dick. And he was a dick before he got inflicted or afflicted with invisibility. It didn't make him a dick, he already was one. So, what I guess I'm trying to say is, should I let my disability define me? Do I even want it to? So if you could offer me the cure, has it been with me so long? Do I even want to be cured? Is it kind of like become a crutch, like the Stockholm syndrome? Maybe, I don't know. But I mean, I know one thing, and that's when whatever you do, you're only getting out of this life one way, and that's in a wooden box. So to sort of sum up, there's this thing that I've invented. It's called the epitaph game. And it's very simple. You just got to ask somebody what they want for their epitaph, and they're not allowed to think about it. You've just got to say it as a kind of a reflex reaction. And anyway, to cut a long story short, when I was asked, or somebody asked it back of me, in retrospect, I would have thought I would have said, "Oh, I wanted to be famous, or I wanted to be have so many plays published, Broadway, films, etc., etc., etc." But what I said was that I'd won on my gravestone was he was mostly nice, and quite frankly, I think that's the key. Just try to be nice.